Jason, thanks so much for coming in and sharing your story and also your heart. And for those who don't know, you've actually been leading a men's recovery group in our church, but also men's recovery groups before you started coming to our church. How long has it been?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Pastor Mike. Seriously, thank you for not shying away from the topics that tend to scare a lot of pastors. It means a lot. To answer your question, I've been personally leading groups with Pure Desire since 2012. Of course, leading groups like this only comes after you've gone through one for your own personal reasons.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Absolutely. My story is my own, just like every guy's story is their own. My wife and I were newlyweds when my addiction to pornography was fully discovered. Right at the end of 2008, we struggled to find a path forward until 2011, when we finally found help through Pure Desire Ministries. We started counseling and attending local groups, and we were able to find health and restoration. Just as importantly, my wife was able to actually process the deep betrayal that I had caused. We were able to slowly start rebuilding that trust through the counseling and the group work.
Great. So where are you both at today?
Today, we would both agree that we wouldn't trade where we have been for what we have today. That includes the addiction and all the junk we had to walk through. It forced us together and brought us together in a way we never could have imagined. God has truly blessed our marriage through this healing journey.
Well, that's an incredible testimony, Jason, that you were sharing about the restoration process. And it leads me to a question I think a lot of men are watching might have. Looking back on your life in the midst of the addiction versus now, what would you say is the biggest difference?
The biggest difference is freedom from shame. My path into this started around 13. By the way, that's actually late by today's standards. The average age of exposure to pornography now is around 8 years old. But for me at 13, there was a catalyst. I truly believe I was being taken off the table for being used as a force for God. The enemy saw something he didn't like, and he knew that if he could get me early on, there was a high probability that I would disqualify myself the rest of my life.
What makes you say that, Jason?
I saw God work a miracle. I was at my house witnessing to my friend. We were having a heated debate, and I told him, I go, if God wants there to be an earthquake, there will be an earthquake. And that phrase, it was out of my mouth for a couple seconds, and the whole house started shaking. My parents thought I was playing a prank. I was diving underneath the table. It was like a 4.5 earthquake, but enough to get somebody's attention. The news agencies just reported cans falling off of a shelf, so there's no damage anywhere, but we knew what it was.
Wow. What'd your friend do?
He started coming to church. He actually got involved in ministry just as much as I was, which was great. But here's the point of the story. After that, shortly after that powerful moment is when my addiction to pornography and masturbation started. Then came the shame and the guilt that kept me from being used by God in the ways that he had originally designed. I took myself off the chessboard. I didn't feel qualified. I felt disqualified. I felt ashamed and unworthy. And I still went to church. I still said all the right things. I still knew how to behave, but I put on a mask. Said I'm okay. But really in private, I was a completely different person.
And isn't that really how the enemy loves to work? He comes in behind the scenes in those secondary issues, and it just takes us out with things like shame and condemnation, those kinds of things. And that's not who you really are.
That's not who God created me to be, not at all. That's who the enemy wants me to be. That's not my original design. My original design is to be a conqueror, a warrior for him. So that's what I've been doing for the past 14 years. We've been trying to help other men get set free from the bondage that the enemy wants to keep them in.
And the great thing is you've brought that to our church family, the men in our church.
Yeah, we have a unique opportunity here at Harborview Fellowship. not only to go through this together, but to also live in freedom together. This fall, starting in August, we're going to be kicking off a book study going on Tuesday nights, going through The Cure by John Lynch. That'll run for about 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. From that, we're going to launch into the Freedom Intensives, which will pair perfectly and kick off nicely into going into the 7 Pillars of Freedom, which is a 9-month commitment. And that's the curriculum done by Pure Desire. We're adding something unique this session. After talking with the elders here at the church, offering freedom prayer every other month. So going through a freedom prayer session for a total of 5 times while walking through this. So I'm excited for it. Yeah. So if you're a man listening to this and this resonates to you, get signed up for The Cure. That's going to be the entry point into this next session. And we hope that's our hope is that from there, guys will want to take the next step in the journey.
Well, Jason, thank you. And we're excited to offer these groups for the men and just the building relationship in and through this kind of a time and helping them deal with the pain that comes with all the stuff that accommodates these kinds of issues. Another thing that's happening too is the wives. I believe there's going to be opportunity for the wives to go through a time to deal with some of their own personal betrayal and to bring about a restoration for marriages and with a desire of doing that. I know that there was a moment early on, your wife said something to you that was incredibly painful to you, and it was pivotal, and you've shared that a little bit with us. Would you mind sharing with us that moment?
Yeah. So my passion's always been children's ministry. And just to be clear, my addictions never had anything to do with kids. But my dream was to always have kids. My wife knew this. And when she found out, everything paused. Her words to me were, I don't feel comfortable having kids with you while you're dealing with this addiction. And with the history, and as many times as I tried to stop on my own, I almost gave up on having kids because I didn't think it was possible. Those words stung hard. To know that she didn't trust me with that, it hurt. But I can tell you that after 7 years of being married, we had my daughter. And 3 years after that, we had my son. I call my daughter my little miracle baby because I never thought it would be possible to live in freedom. So God is in the business of restoring, and he wants to restore us to him. He wants to restore what's been broken, and he mends it back together so much stronger.
Yeah. Well, Jason, thank you for your vulnerability, seriously, to have that kind of candidness and for sharing a powerful story of hope. I mean, that's what I hear out of this is a story of hope. And I just want to encourage you to keep pressing on, and the redemption that God brings by using us from our past and helping others experience redemption where we ourselves at one time struggled. Yeah. Thanks again.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.